Good morning and welcome to another pre-market review session with the Market Trader. My name's Ray, the Market Trader. And before we get started, we'll need to go through our obligatory risk disclosure here. So we'll go ahead and just do just that. So just want to remind everyone that content that's being published and distributed by the Market Trader is to be treated as general information only. None of the information provided by the company or contained herein is intended as investment advice and offer to buy, sell, recommend, endorse, sponsor any future security, company, or fund. We all understand that the use of the information contained herein is to be used at your own risk, and the company and its partners, representatives, agents, employees, contractors assume no responsibility or liability for any use or misuse of such information. Future trading does carry a fair amount of risk. It's not for every investor. Investor could potentially lose all or more of their investment capital. Only risk capital money that can be lost without jeopardizing one's financial security or lifestyle should be used for trading, and only those individuals with sufficient risk capital should consider trading. Again, nothing contained herein is a solicitation or an offer to buy, sell futures, options, or Forex, and past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, so now that we've gotten through the risk disclosure, guys, we're going to go ahead and take a look and see what we have in the way of news that could potentially impact the markets. Okay, so we'll go ahead and redirect our attention to that here. So let's open the financial portal here and see what we have in the way of news. Okay, so a lot of events, and the question is, how many impactful events do we have here? So we have a number of speaking engagements from the Fed as well as our president here throughout the day. We have, I guess, at 11 a.m., we have the Fed talking about inflation, 1-year inflation expectations. Okay, that certainly can have an impact of the on the markets. At noon today, we have the Stale report, and then we have the IMF fiscal monitor report, and then at 1 p.m. we have the report out on the 3-year note. Okay. And then to close out the day, we have the U.S. Consumer Credit Report. But again, all these reports fail in comparison to what we're going to receive tomorrow. Okay, so we have the FOMC meeting minutes. All right, so any sort of fiscal decision on what we're going to do with rates, obviously, will have an impact on the market. So tomorrow is probably is what everybody's looking for. Is what I want to say here. Okay, and then we close out the week. I would say relatively light. Okay, in comparison, we don't have any sort of job report or anything along those lines. So tomorrow is what the market is anticipating and waiting for. Okay. So now that we have a view of the news and how it could potentially impact us, we're going to go ahead. The screen's black. Let's see. Try this. The screen is back. Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead now and move over to platform. Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and oops. Let's see if we can navigate this to a place where I can control it. All right, here we are. And let's see if I can get back to my all right. Hopefully you guys can see my screen. I have a chart of the crude oil, kind of doing some analysis there on the left. We're going to go ahead and start off with the gold market here. Okay, perfect. All right, so let's take a look here and see what the gold market is doing. So kind of hovering around that 4,000 level. Okay, so again, we got a little bit of a gap open. All right. So we had a very strong bullish day yesterday. And now I don't know if necessarily we're going to have an equally bullish day today, but nonetheless, we have a day that is continues to show signs of momentum to the upside. Okay, so daily chart, nothing really to offer here other than to say that the momentum remains higher. Okay, looking at the 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart, we have a developing bullish engulfing candle here, again, giving us some signs that there's further upside opportunity in this market. Okay. And again, certainly 4,000 is one of the psychological levels that could cause the market to stall here a little bit. But the fact that we are indeed creating a bullish engulfing candle is of importance, right? So it's kind of indicating to us that there is a fair amount of interest here to the upside. Now, I would say that there is a little bit of divergence. Okay, looking at the volume here, right? Looking at the strength, the strength of this candle, okay, versus what we're seeing in the way of volume, is a little bit, I would say, divergent, right? So we're not seeing, a candle that is representative of the type of price candle that we're seeing right now. Okay. Now, is that going to mean that this is going to remain neutral, or our volume is going to pick up in a way that's going to be more representative of the price candle that we're seeing right now? Yeah. So in a way, the sellers are indeed getting absorbed, right? So all the sellers attempts to take the market lower are being absorbed by buyers, and price continues. Okay. So at some point, sellers will have to capitulate, right? And that capitulation could even add more momentum to the market, to the upside. Okay. So that's something to make note of. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at the 30-minute chart. And again, a little bit different view here, right? So at least on the 30-minute chart, we have a candle or a volume bar that is somewhat representative of the type of price bar that we would expect given this bullish candle. Here we are at 4,000. Okay, 4,000, right up at the edge of 4,000. Expectation again remains that this will be somewhat resistant to price. Okay, so right, so we'll go ahead and mark that as resistant. So this is right here, right around 4,000 level. We're just going to adjust this to even 4,000. All right. So I would expect that level to potentially be resistant to price. We're not getting that reaction just yet, but we've been up here now a few times. Each time has been received with rejection. Okay. So the question now becomes, are we going to get yet another rejection away from this area? Right now, you can see that price is above some of the indicators that we care about to the upside, right? We're above the 9 EMA. We're above the VWAP. Our volume delta bar seems to be aligned with the general direction of the market. Okay. So, yeah, I would say that we'll have to kind of wait and see as to how we continue to react away from this area now that the market has opened here. Okay, so let's take a look at initial balance here. Looks like in my, let's see over here. Let's just open that up. And then we'll do a little comparison between sessions on what kind of initial balance we received across all the various markets, or sessions, I should say. All right, and we're going to go ahead and start with the Asia session, technically Tokyo, and you can see that actually Tokyo was lower. Okay, lower, sort of, I guess lower, right? We got to the 100% extension. Okay, really, and then we came back later in the session as we got a little bit closer to London. And London also was at least initially lower as well. Okay. So now, as we approach the US session, Looks like we've kind of caught a little bit of a bid to the upside. Does appear that maybe there's a potential that maybe we could be ranging here a bit. We had some range kind of price action here on the start of Asia. Again, market went lower, got to the 100% extension. We came back in, rotated through the initial balance range, again found some sellers. This time they were able to take it a bit lower. Okay, they were able to take the market lower, and now during the London session, looks like they were able to rally the market. Okay, so looking at London here, you can see that Asia brought it down. London was able to bring it up. Now the question is the U.S. going to follow London's lead, okay, and continue to drive the market higher, or are they going to be more of the Asia variety, right? Are they going to cause the market to maybe range here a bit, right? I think expecting to break 4,000, while it's not out of the question, it's a pretty significant level, all right, and it would not surprise me in the least if we were to maybe test that level and find some sellers here. Okay. Yes, I would expect that this is a pretty big gamma level. Okay, so for those who understand options, I would expect that there's this area is a gamma level. There's probably a lot of calls here at this level, and as a result, there could be some volatility around this area. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I would expect so, Cass. I would expect that maybe there is some call options there, some gamma exposure up at this area. Okay. So the question now becomes: is this area going to offer us an area where we could see a rotation in price, or is there going to be an acceleration potential to the upside? Okay. So a very important level. We've kind of taken a peek above. All right. So let's take a look here at the day session here. And you can see that we have a relatively strong bullish candle that's being developed as we speak. All right. And again, the volume delta bar seems to be aligned with the general direction of the market. All right. So again, headed into the session, barring again, the potential that we could maybe cause the market to range here. I see here on the right-hand side, a logical level, right, where price could come and offer us maybe a location where they can maybe recruit some more sellers, all right, to cause the market to go higher. Certainly we are a bit extended, certainly away from VWAP at the moment. And so let's take a look and see. I think we all know the answer to this question, but let's see where we are with respect to yesterday's price action. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do a little fixed range volume profile analysis here. We're going to locate the start of the session and then drag that to the close of the session. Okay, right here, and you can see that with this bar, we're above value. Okay, we're above value, indicating that there is a fair amount of interest to the upside in this market. The value area high also happens to be the low end of the initial balance range, and also this area that on the visible range. So this area here around 39.90, I expect would be a nice logical location for maybe a potential continuation move to the upside. Like we all know, the market does not move in one direction. It kind of staircases its way higher, right? In this case, if it's going to continue, the expectation is that we could get maybe another, a little bit of a pullback before we continue here to the upside. Obviously, a little bit wary here on the highs. Certainly there's a possibility that we could maybe reach the 50% extension and then potentially reverse, right? Kind of bait people into all-time highs. But so nonetheless, the market does appear to be bullish. All right. and we need to continue to look for areas where we can manage our risk to the bullish side. Okay, this 3990 being a logical place. Certainly, if we do manage to break above 4,000, I would expect that 4,000 would also be another logical location to take on some opportunities, assuming that we can hold above 4,000. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and move and let's see. Turn our attention over to the crude oil market. I think I've covered what I wanted to cover here. Maybe one last thing, and maybe I'm going to add here is an anchored VWAP to this current move. Right. I'm going to take this pivot area. That's kind of another logical kind of location. This is kind of the kind of a view of the sentiment of London. Right. So you can see that price is above our anchor VWAP from this kind of change in direction here. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at the crude oil market. Crude oil market did show some signs of life yesterday. It was kind of developed some range kind of price action. And I would say that looks like we are continuing to be in range. Okay. So again, looking at the higher time frame chart, you can see that the higher time frame chart is really not telling us anything that we don't already know, that we have been in some sort of bearish structure here to the downside. You can see that the 9 EMA is still serving as an indication that the trend remains lower, and we are developing a bearish candle here to the downside. Okay, moving on to the 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart. We're looking here again. We're going to go ahead and turn off the initial balance range here for a moment. You can see that, again, as we don't have to make this more complex than we need to, right? As we look at this chart from left to right, are we making higher highs or higher lows? Well, we're making lower highs and lower lows, right? So we have a swing. This again appears to be a little bit of a retracement right now. So, and again, I probably have done this analysis, but I will do it again. And I'm going to kind of predict or kind of give a target of where this price could go, right? And looking at this, we have 58.80 is a logical level, and we can get as low as 56.73 based on this measure, right? So if we measure this swing and use this retracement, if we can get a measured move that would lead us all the way down to 56.73. Okay, that is not out of the realm of possibility. And right now we are seeing price below our VWAP as well as our 9 EMA. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at our 30-minute chart. 30-minute chart again showing us some signs. We're developing some bearish candles. We had mentioned in yesterday's review or coaching session that we felt that this 61 level was going to be a level of relative importance, right? We had some buyers, okay, or maybe a rotation of contracts here. We came back to that level and then found some buyers and kind of rotated back to the highs here at 62, and we've remained in this range, right? So we had 62 to the upside, 61.15 to the downside. So now the question is, are we going to continue to stay in that range? Or over time are we going to chip away at this buyer, and eventually the buyer relents and price continues, right? Right now, our volume delta bar is very much aligned with the general direction of the market, right? We're seeing a volume delta bar. We're seeing more selling than buying, and the price candle is also indicating is very much in alignment, right, of the general direction. All right, let's take a look at the initial balance and just kind of compare across the various markets to see what participants have been able to do with this market, if anything at all. So we're going to go ahead and move this to 1 hour. We're going to go ahead and look at the Asia session and see what they were able to do here. Okay, so Asia looks like they were able to take the market higher. Okay, very narrow initial balance range. Again, narrow initial balance range offers us, quite a bit in opportunity, because the market participants are able to drive markets in any one direction without much effort, right? Relatively narrow range. We got to push outside the range, and then we extend it all the way up to the 200% extension of the initial range. As we approach London, okay, it looks like we got as we approach London, we got further and further bearish. Okay. We got an extension to the 50%. Almost would be considered a failed auction back to the upside. We found some sellers, and now we seem to be in some sort of sustained auction here to the downside. We're coming to retest that 61.15 level that we had talked about earlier. Managed to get below it. Okay, so far. Let's again, still a fair amount of bearish price action that we're seeing in this market. All right. So again, it'll be interesting to see what kind of reaction we get around this 61 level, because 61 level has been supportive in the past. If we do break below it, then I would say the 61.15 could offer us maybe a location, right? Maybe to entertain an opportunity. Okay. If this indeed is going to be a sustained move, right? Price is very much extended here to the downside, right? So, and then I would say that the 61.50 level is also another location where we could see a continuation move to the downside. This being London's initial balance session. We've already gotten a break, and then almost a rotation of initial balance, found some sellers. So I would expect that this 61.50 level, the edge of this value range and initial balance range, could offer us maybe a location for a continuation move to the downside. All right, let's take a look at the fixed range volume profile. Let's see where price is in relation to yesterday's price action. So we're going to go ahead and start with the open of Monday session here, right about there. We're going to drag that across to the close of the session, and you can see again that there's quite a bit of interest here. There's our initial balance range from yesterday. Okay, London basically created the same exact range, right? Same exact initial balance range. So from a volume perspective and from an initial balance perspective, we are at that same level. We got a break to the downside. So I would say that headed into the session, that my view of this market continues to be bearish. Now, we are coming into an area, right? We're probably looking to kind of fill this gap. Okay. And then at that point, around this 60.75 level could offer us maybe an area for maybe a reversal in price. Okay. Very difficult right now, I would say, without some sort of pullback to participate in this downside move. Thank you, Faye. Appreciate you. Right. So this downside move, obviously, right now is pretty strong. But to participate in this move, we need, some sort of pullback, some sort of area where we can manage our risk for some sort of potential continuation move to the downside. So let's before we move on and to our equity markets, again, kind of encourage folks to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Add a comment or two on the portal on how this analysis has supported you. Thank you again, Faye, for acknowledging that. Okay, so let's go ahead now that I've gotten through that. All right, we got. We're gonna go ahead and open up the NASDAQ here. We'll start to take a look at the NASDAQ and see what the NASDAQ is doing. Well, it looks like it's rallying, okay, which is kind of odd to see, to be honest, to see both gold and the equity markets rally. But nonetheless, we continue to rally to the upside. All right. So again, we're developing yet another bullish candle here to the upside. So daily chart indicating, bullish price action, and that we remain in some sort of bullish market sentiment here. Okay. Taking a look at the 4-hour chart. Okay. 4-hour chart. Yeah. Again, it's a little bit counterintuitive, right? Because you would expect with any sort of rally here on the equities that we would see maybe a little bit of price kind of faltering on the equity markets, but we're not seeing that. We're seeing all these markets move in the same direction, which is it's quite odd. Normally, we would expect if the equities are are moving higher, we would expect maybe gold to kind of falter here a little bit, but we're not seeing that at the moment. Okay, what we're seeing is price continue to drive higher. Okay, we continue to have higher high and higher lows in this market. We see the volume delta bar is very much aligned with the general direction of the market here. Okay, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the 30-minute chart here and see what we can gather here. So again, you can see that we're above the 9 EMA. We're seeing that price is sloping, or say 9 EMA is sloping to the upside. The VWAP is beginning to slope to the upside. Our volume delta bars are all indicating that there is more aggressive interest to the upside than to the sell side. Okay. Looking at this, now that we've broken above a level here, I would expect that this level right around here would be supportive. Okay. So this, I'm going to go ahead and mark as around 20, let's call it 25,240. I would expect that potentially to be a supportive area, right? So any sort of pullback with some confirmation, right? What I mean by confirmation is maybe I draw some sort of channel here, right? I got a nice impulsive move outside the range. If I get a pullback and maybe a break, that could lead to maybe another leg here to the upside. Okay, so right around this 25,240 level would be a logical level for that to potentially take place. All right. So let's take a look at the fixed range volume profile here. Let's get a sense for where price is in relation to yesterday's price action. And you can see that we are above, right? Again, another logical location here. And I'm going to add, right, a high end of value could also offer us this around this 25,215 level. Could be another logical location where we could get a continuation in price. Again, very difficult to participate in a one-side market like we're experiencing right now. Really, I need to see some sort of, price retracement in order for me to participate in this type of market. Okay. And if it leaves without me, it has to leave without me. I'm not going to chase price to the upside. I'm going to wait for price to come to a level where I can manage my risk. And then at that point, look to participate. All right. So let's take a look at the initial balance ranges and see what the initial balance ranges have to offer here. So you can see here, Asia offered us a little bit of an extension here on the Asia side. We got to the 100% extension before faltering right back to the initial balance high. And then during London, right, we got another leg here to the upside. Okay. So fair amount of interest here to the upside in this market. So to kind of take a look at the London session here. All right. So you can see that we are reacted very nicely, right? We got a nice extension. And again, kind of exactly what we would expect as far as the setup goes. We got a nice push to the upside, a retest of initial balance high, and off to the races we go, right? This is kind of classic setup for me, right? We get a push outside the range, a pullback, and then off we go. Okay. We're still a ways away from this market opening. Okay. So again, it will be interesting to see what the US session does with this. Okay. We are a little bit extended to the upside. I have to admit, we are extended to the upside. So I would say that we are maybe a little bit overdue for a little bit of a pullback. And that pullback could offer us maybe a location where we could see a continuation move to the upside in this market. So nonetheless, I would have to say that the market is bullish. And I think the task for all of us is to see how we can find some opportunities here where we our location where we can manage our risk and still participate here to the upside. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and see. I think we're going to go ahead now and move into the S&P to see what the S&P is doing. Okay. So S&P is also kind of almost like a spitting image of the NASDAQ here, kind of rallying at the moment. You see that we have a very strong, so I had drawn a little triangle pattern, okay, to see maybe we were a little bit of consolidation, whether we might actually hold 67.55. On the contrary, we broke above 67.55 and now have kind of continue to accelerate here to the upside in this market. So daily chart, is not really telling us that we should be looking at any other direction but up. Okay. We are seeing the volume delta bar is somewhat aligned with the general direction, right? Volume delta. So we're seeing about, I don't know, looks like 12,000 more buy orders than sell orders at the moment, and that is driving price higher. Okay. Let's go ahead and move down to the 4-hour chart here and see what the 4-hour chart is telling us. So I'm going to turn off initial balance here for a moment. You can see that we are developing yet another bullish candle that's breaking some structure here to the upside. I had drawn this area as maybe a potential area of retrace. We did get that retrace, but now it looks like we found some buyers here around the, looks like, I don't know, 67.70, 67.75. Looks like we found some buying participants around that level and has driven price up to the upside. Okay. So again, nothing here indicating a little bit of maybe a little bit of slowdown. All right, to the upside. All right, momentum wise, but still continues to grind higher here. So let me go ahead and remove some of my drawings. We're going to go ahead and move down to the 30-minute chart here and get a sense of what price is doing. Again, other than to say that it looks like it wants to continue to move to the upside. Okay. Let's start by opening up our fixed range volume profile here. Okay. For Monday, right about there. We'll drag that across to the close right about there. Okay. So with this candle, again, we broke above the range. Again, this area would serve as a logical area for support now, right? Assuming that we could stay above it. This 67.95 level, 6,800, maybe if you want to kind of split hairs here a little bit, 67.96, 6,800 would be a logical level to see maybe price hold. 67.95, obviously we're kind of entertaining 6,800 as we speak, but 67.95 would be a logical area for price maybe to retrace. And then I guess revisit some of the same participants that were able to drive price higher. We're starting to see our VWAP kind of curl to the upside. We have a 9 EMA that's kind of tracking price to the upside. So again, as long as price remains above our 9 EMA, remains above our VWAP, we have to continue to look for opportunities to the upside. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look and see what the initial balance ranges we're able to do across the various markets. So let's start off with the Tokyo session. Tokyo was able to take it to the 100% extension, much like the NASDAQ. London also was able to take it to the upside. Okay, we got a nice extension during London, right? Nice push to the upside above our 9 EMA, which could have signaled us an entry. If we were a little bit patient, we could have waited for maybe the 9 EMA to get retested and again offered us a nice extension move here to the upside in this market. So again, ES, much like the NAS, continues to show signs of strength. I would say that we are maybe a little bit extended, so we're probably a little bit overdue for maybe a little bit of a pullback, right? Maybe a pullback to the point of control, or a pullback to VWAP or the 9 EMA. Seems like it would be a natural thing for us to do here when the market opens. But nonetheless, the market ES continues to show signs of strength, and we obviously need to continue to look for maybe some areas here to potentially participate in this market. Okay. Now, if price starts to close below some of these levels, then maybe we can start to look for opportunities to the bearish side. But right now, I would say that heading into the market, I would say that I remain bullish. Okay. Let's take a look at the Dow before we make one final pass across all the various markets here. We're going to go ahead and start off with the daily chart here. Daily chart, again, probably not showing the same amount of strength as some of these other equity markets, but nonetheless, we have a developing bullish engulfing candle here on the Dow, okay, indicating that there's still some upside opportunity potential in this market, right? Assuming that we do close the day as bullish, right? That could lead to another leg higher in this market. Looking at the 4-hour chart, For our chart here, again, you can see that we're developing quite the bullish candle here. We're going to turn off initial balance here. You can see that the volume delta bar is very much aligned. We have a bullish bar that's wiping out maybe some hopeful sellers here, right? And has the potential of maybe closing above. I would say this 47,200 level still seems to be a relatively important level in order to, we really technically, have not made a new high in this market. Okay. So it's probably the weakest of the three markets, but I'm starting to see that maybe we are looking to maybe break this channel here to the upside. Okay. Indicating that there's still some upside opportunity in this market. All right. Let's take a look at the 30-minute chart here and see. Let's turn off the drawing here. Let's compare price to where price is currently. So let's do a fixed range volume profile. Let's locate the start of the session. We'll drag that across to the close of the session here. And you can see that we just managed to get above the value range from yesterday. Okay. So, right. So this is the area I'm talking about here. Okay. So this 47,000 level does appear to be maybe a potential area of support. We do see that we are still technically inside some sort of bearish swing. So this 47,100, 47,150 level, expectation is that maybe we will find some potential sellers there to drive price lower. So certainly I would say that maybe currently we are seeing some bullish price action, but we still have some resistance ahead of us. Okay. Yes, I would agree, Michael. I think it's important to remain patient and wait for A+ setups. Okay, so let's take a look here across the various markets here. Let's see where the initial balance range is established. So we'll start off with the Tokyo session here. Okay, and so Tokyo, we got a little bit of an extension to the downside, unlike the NAS. But then when we got into London, looks like there was some interest in the London side to participate in the Dow, right? We got a very nice 15-2 extension trade here, right? So nice extension to the upside, right? Nice extension to the upside. We get a pullback back down to the initial balance high, and off we go, right? This is exactly the kinds of setups that we like to see, right? Nice push, pullback, and off we go. All right. So again, headed into the session, again, I feel like we are a little bit extended to the upside. I would say that we would probably be better served in remaining patient, right? Being that lazy lion and waiting for price to come back to a level, and then back to a level where we can manage our risk. Okay, that's what it really comes down to. Okay. All right, let's take one final pass across these various markets here. So we'll again open up the gold. The gold seems to be on fire. Okay, to the upside, really not showing any signs of relenting here. Right, you can see here the volume delta bars are very aligned with the general direction of the market. Again, when the market is one time framing in one direction like this, very difficult to find areas to participate. Okay. I've identified, obviously a couple of levels here around the 4,000 level. 4,000 itself the expectation here, now that we've broken above it, could serve as an area, right, that we could offer us maybe a location for continuation of trade. I'm gonna go ahead and color that in green now. Okay, so that would be a logical location for price to continue. Now we are obviously a little bit extended to the upside. So again, I think the wise thing would be for us to see if we can get some sort of pullback, right? Some sort of pullback where we could participate in this move, right, to the upside. All right. But as we head into the market, I would say that we continue to see signs of bullishness in the gold. Looking at the crude oil market. Okay. Crude oil market looks like we got a snap here down to the downside and some sort of reaction. Okay, so around this 60-80 level, we filled the gap. We got to a level, and looks like we found some buyers potentially here. Okay. I don't know if that's news driven or maybe just the open of the market. In any case, we did get some buyers to step in this market. We're going to go ahead and change this to the regular session here. All right. So, and that as a result created a very wide initial balance range. Okay. So the question now becomes, is this move that we're seeing right now sustainable? Okay. Is this a first indication of maybe price kind of reversing? Now, what makes this a little bit difficult, right? It's creating, quite the range here, right? So this 30-minute candle, if we're going to use it as a kind of a litmus test as to what the bullish move is going to be, well, that's a pretty significant stop loss, right? We have 60.70 down below, and we're at 61.31, right? So that would make for a pretty significant stop placement, right? So we'll have to see. Again, I'm not really sold necessarily on this move, okay, until we can get above the VWAPs and above the 9 EMAs. This could be just a reaction, or maybe people getting out of their short positions, okay, overnight short positions. And now the question becomes, are we going to see maybe a 3-bar reversal pattern that would lead us higher? But for me to really begin to embrace higher prices, I do need to see price break above my 9 EMA, break above my VWAP in order to really begin to embrace the possibility of crude oil continuing higher. Right? Because for me right now, we continue to be in bearish structure, even given the fact that we got a very strong wick candle here, right? Obviously, somebody stepped in here with some capital to drive the price higher. They said enough's enough. I'm not going to allow price to continue any further to the downside, and they have stepped in here. Okay, so headed into the session, I would say that before watching this candle here, I would say that I was very much bearish. I am still bearish, but I'm cognizant of the fact that around this 61 level, there seems to be some interest in taking this market to the upside. The question is, do they have the participants to continue to drive? So I'm going to be interested to see what kind of candle, not this current candle, but the very next 15 or 30-minute candle, what it's able to create, and whether we get maybe some sort of 3-bar reversal pattern that would maybe drive price maybe to the other side of the range, which currently is between 61 and 62. All right, let's take a look at the NASDAQ and the other remaining equity markets here. Again, we are seeing some signs now, maybe that we are at least have found a little, maybe some sellers here, and not quite at the start of the market. We're about 7 minutes away, but the market again continues to show signs of strength. Again, my view remains, maybe using the 9 EMA or the VWAP as kind of locations, maybe to participate in maybe a bullish market. The fact that gold is running so well to the upside, the expectation, okay, is that maybe that's going to translate into some softening in the equity prices, right? When gold rallies, we see some sort of weakness in the equity markets, okay? But that doesn't necessarily have to happen, okay? But the idea is that they're inversely related, right? So if gold is rallying, generally we see the weakness in the equity markets. So we are seeing, at least for now, a bearish candle leading up to the open of the market. The question is this going to sustain? I would say if it does sustain, then we probably could see price come back to point of control here before we see any sort of change in direction of the current direction. Okay. Price, if assuming that price remains above the 9 and the VWAP, this location around the point of control could offer us maybe a location for a continuation move here to the upside. Okay. So market, I would say, continues to be bullish, starting to see some signs that maybe sellers have begun to step in here, which would not be out of the realm of possibilities here, given the rally that we're seeing in the gold market. Looking at the ES here. So looking at the ES, similar kind of view, just a different instrument. Again, it looks like we got some rejection leading up, or maybe some overnight longs maybe potentially liquidating some of their positions. That's a possibility as well, because as we head into the open of the market, nonetheless, we continue to show signs of strength here. Again, I'm going to be looking for the 9 EMA, the VWAP, maybe again to offer me some location for continuation possibilities. If we start to break below these levels, then maybe I start to change my tune, start to change my attention, and using those levels to support maybe a continuation, maybe rotation back down to the other side of the range. Now, we have to be aware that we do have the FOMC minutes coming in tomorrow. So it's quite possible that the market could remain in range until that report. Okay. So that's something to keep in mind as we head into the session. And then the last market, I think, is the same. Okay. Again, we're seeing a fair amount of strength here in the Dow to the upside, getting a little bit of selling here up at these highs. Again, I feel like we are a little bit extended to the upside here. And again, if I'm going to participate in this upside move, I feel like I need to wait for the 9 EMA, or I need to wait for price to come back down to the 9 EMA or VWAP before I participate. Okay. So that's kind of what I have for you guys today, I think. So I think across the board, we have the gold continues to show signs of strength. Crude oil, if I hadn't seen that most recent candle, I would say that we're probably looking more bearish. And then across the board on the equity side, while we are bullish, we are maybe have the potential of maybe being a little bit extended to the upside, and we probably need to be patient and see if we can find maybe some better locations to participate in those markets as well. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and assuming that there's no questions, we're going to go ahead and close this session off. I'm going to thank Faye Marie for the donation. Appreciate that. Okay, and again, I would encourage others to maybe hit the like, hit the subscribe, leave a comment or two on how this analysis is supporting your view and your participation in the market. That's always welcomed. Otherwise, trade well, trade safe, trade like a pro, be a market trader. Have an excellent day trading, guys, and we'll talk again tomorrow.